Okay, so this episode, how to be a writer, tips for writing. I have Rachel Miles with me, who is a experienced writer, and her gift is bringing others forward in their writing. This is all she does. So I love this. I love this for my authors. I love this for my to be authors, and even with the other aspects of your life that you're bringing content forward. The absolute of tips for writing and being able to bring that forward is what our next guest is all about. So Rachel, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
So anyway, so Rachel, tell everybody what you do, because you're a writer as a profession, and then the insights to not just tips for writing or how to be a writer, but really bringing that from how to begin, how to start, how to keep motivated. There's so much that I love that this conversation gets to bring. So first, tell everybody what you do. How are you a writer?
Yeah, I would say writing is just something that I've always done. I used to journal when I was a kid. Not every day. Like people are always talking about journaling, and I'm like, well, I mostly journaled when I was mad, but I like to write short stories um and I guess it's always been part of everything I've done. Like I haven't always had a job as a writer. Like my full-time job isn't a writer, but I do it all the time. I write a blog. I help others improve their writing. It's just something I've always sought out. And I think there's a lot of advice out there for writers, but I think the most important thing is just to be consistent and to do it, and just try different things out and share your voice.
Okay, so first of all, so someone's saying, you know what? I have all these thoughts. I know, and I hear so often, I have a book. I definitely know I should write a book, right? But then it's that to taking action and actually making that happen. So to begin with, someone says, I know I have a book, or or I want to reach more people with my writing. How do they begin? How would you suggest?
Mm-hmm. Well, something I learned is that there's kind of two different people, two main different types of writers. There's the people who fly by the seat of their pants, and people call them pantsers, and then there's the plotters. And so I think I have been programmed in my professional career to be like a plotter, where it's like you have to have an outline for everything. That's what everyone tells you, especially with blogs. And like you learn that in school too. You got to have an outline. You got to know your intro and your bullet points and everything. But I think it's actually perfectly fine if you don't have an outline. I think if that stresses you out, you can just write from your heart, and you could always go back later. That's what a lot of famous writers have said, like Ernest Hemingway and Margaret Atwood and all of these different people. They were like, if I released my first draft, nobody would buy my book. Or like if I expected perfection the first time I wrote something, then it would never, like I would never write a thing. So it's really important just to get it out there, get it out of you, get it on paper. You can even if you don't like writing, like my husband doesn't like writing, he's English is his second language. So he feels much more comfortable speaking. So what I've been helping him do is he actually like is using this like voice to text app, where if you speak your story in there, then you can kind of go back in and tweak it, or you can get someone to help you write it. I just think it's the most important thing is like figuring out what you want to say, or just start getting it out. And then if you need extra help from somebody, then you can get that help.
Right, so what I'm hearing you say, and there was two things you said in the beginning too. So basically, just let it flow. Whatever comes out, but just and then do that. The other piece you had said, on a consistent basis, because you mentioned that in the beginning. So, and you even rolled in and said, you know what, the overwhelm of journaling every day and what that looks like, right? But that piece, that consistency could be once a week or first thing in the morning, right? When our brain is fresh. But when do you write?
Yeah, I do it first thing in the morning. I've found that to be the most effective. Like there's when I don't do it in the morning, I have a harder time kind of getting into it. But I've started like trying to meditate to clear my brain from all of like the other stuff that goes on, and then go into writing at like if I'm trying to write not first thing in the morning, then I'm like, okay, I need to clear my head and kind of get into the focus.
I love how you bring the meditation in that, because I've never considered myself a writer, even though, I'm an international bestseller 2 times over. Grateful for that. And the whole piece with that, to get into the flow, and whatever that means, that it's not coming from us, it's going through us, is like that meditation piece allows it to just come forward. And Jeff, you found that, so you meditated, right? And then it may not come, and then all of a sudden it may come in the middle of the night, or right, there's not an absolute on it, but it does come.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that experience?
Yeah, the middle of the night ones are all like kind of a pain, because then you're like, oh, I gotta get up and right. And then if you don't, you forget what it was.
Goes. And it was so brilliant at the time, right?
Yeah.
So then the other piece too is that to have then something, because as you're allowing the flow of the universe, right? Because that's what it is, that energy that frees our writing, because it's coming from what we're meant to say, right? That having a just a notepad next to the bed, or having it with you, right? Could be when you're driving too, and you're like, I gotta pull over, right? Has that happened?
Yeah. I've also used like the voice record app on my phone. So like I can talk if I'm like when I'm driving, like I could think about it and like just kind of speak into my phone. Maybe that's not the best idea, but I've done that too.
Well, I'm loving how that it's not has to be a specific way. It gets to be however you get to bring it forward, just bring it forward.
Right.
Okay, so now I know that you're a research writer, right? As a career and going into that. But the other piece is that what you really truly want to bring forward is fiction, and also for that young adult, which again, we discussed this, is my absolute favorite genre of writing, because you have to be so creative. So say that, and maybe we have young writers out there too, or they have characters, right? And oftentimes in the art and characters are coming together. How are you bringing your fiction forward?
Yeah. It's funny, when I was in high school, when I was in that demographic, I had this idea for like a really brilliant setting, or I thought it was, and it stuck with me since then, but I could never figure out what the plot was going to be. It's like I had this world that came into my head like overnight, like you were saying. I remember the moment like this world came to me. And then I never wrote it because I thought I needed to know what the plot was. Like I just, that was what I'd been sort of taught. Like, you've got to know the plot to write a story. And I guess I never gave myself the chance. Like I talked myself out of it. And so what I'm doing now is just letting it come forward as it comes forward. And it stresses me out, honestly. Like I'm writing this story and I'm like, I know I now have like this is actually a different story I'm writing right now, but I have a loose direction. I kind of know the overall plot, but I don't know all of the specific components. But it's okay, because it's going to come to me. It'll come, and then I'll put something out there, and then I'm going to edit it later, and then probably I'm going to get people to read it and get some feedback on it, and probably get an editor too, and all of that, and it'll really come together. It's just like being okay with it not being perfect immediately is, I think, a really big thing, or at least for me.
Okay, so, and then within that, I'm hearing, because again, you helped others write, and your research writing is what you do for a living. So you're very much in the mechanics of it. That when was that shift that you lean into what you get to bring forward, which is fiction? How did that happen? Going from, you knew it was inside you to now, obviously it's you're bringing it forward.
Yeah, I think I was always very creative as a young person, but then going into like high school, college, and then grad school, and then starting to work in tech, I'd started to become very like technical, like kind of using more of my left brain than my right brain. And in the past few years, I guess I'm always like, oh, I want to be writing books, but then I didn't have any like motivation or like inspiration, I guess. And so I really started to try to make room in my life for and prioritizing myself, like prioritizing these needs that I have. So I mean, it's been this whole process, honestly. Like first it was kind of eating better and getting healthy and like kind of like there's this idea like if you eat really like if you eat garbage then like it's like kind of garbage in garbage out, and so like it's really like I think getting healthy and like improving my mindset overall, like eating the right foods for me actually helped me have more clarity of thought, and then just making time for that, for the mindfulness and meditation, or just slowing down and disconnecting from the computer, because I work on the computer all day, so I have to take breaks, go for walks, just reset. And I think that's what's really helped me make room for the inspiration to come in.
Yeah, I love that there's so much of importance that you just said there. So basically, that to allow your creativity to get in touch with that, that it was also the other areas. First of all, you allowed yourself, right? Allowing by the time, and then you allowed yourself the permission, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is mindset, that that piece, that what I have to say is worth it. It's I am worthy. What I'm writing is worthy. And then the other piece with what you're eating, and your whole, you're talking about a wholeness. You're talking about a wholeness in your mindset, your body, and moving forward in allowing then that creativity, which is our most spiritual we can be, to come forward. I think that's brilliant. So, okay, so now you have, I forget what the quote, how many is, I want to say that it's like, it's more than 1,000 books are being published every day, right? I think it's higher than that. I think it's 3,000. But within that, though, it's amazing that when you read something that really sticks with, that you love, right? And again, nonfiction is that piece that you get to carry someone into your world that you've created. I think that's just so, there's miracle in that, and I love all of that. And so you're having all these would-be writers out there, right? And how to be a writer, because, and then there's so many people that get to be. What's that journey like for you, and where are you planning to, how long's the process been, and where are you planning to move forward with that when you allow others to read it?
You're talking about my own specific projects?
Because you get to bring others forward as your experience, standing in as you're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
You're a writer, and there's people that have, that's like that story that you had from when you were younger. That story didn't get wrote, and yet you are writing now, and you are bringing, and you bring people forward in their writing. So what you say is actually so impactful.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's never too late. It's like if you like if you've got, if you're still alive, you can still write something. So like I guess I think, I mean, for me and how I want to help other people is I want to help people who who've been like me and have just been completely blocked by whatever it is that's blocking them. And I mean, I'm still I'm still trying to break down the things that block me. I'm not perfect, but I've had some big breakthroughs, and the progress that I've made is really huge. So what I'm trying to do now is I recently started a community on Patreon where for just like $3 a month, you can participate in this community, and we have a weekly activity where one week we're gonna focus on wellness, so different activities that help you do some self-reflection and work past what we do. We might do some like nutrition challenges too, just something like that. It kind of depends. Like the people in the community can kind of vote on what they're interested in doing. And then
But it's a writer's community.
it's a community for anybody who wants to unlock their creative potential. So
Okay.
there's a week where we're going to focus on creativity as well. Maybe do some just drawing exercises or crafts just to kind of get some creativity going. Like
Yeah.
creative exercises, and then 1 week is centered around storytelling. So whether it's making a video or writing or however you want to bring your story forward, it's that. And then the last week of the month is kind of like reflection and bringing what have we learned in the past month, and I'll host a Q&A. And so that's what I'm doing right now is trying to create a community of people who and share my knowledge, so that if you just want to have some bite-sized kind of ways and activities to just kind of work past what's blocking you, then join my community.
So I love that, because again, you went from knowing that you're writing for a living, you are a paid writer, but crossing over to a creative fiction writer, and that it's been a journey. And then the piece that you've just added to it, which if anyone follows me, I'm all about community. I'm all about coming together, and in that all that magic happens. I love that you've taken the transformational journey for writers. So the group, say it again. I'm going to have the link, and then how can people get in touch with you, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so I started a community on Patreon, and this is how you can find me on everything. My blog is called Renaissance Rachel, so you could search Patreon Renaissance Rachel. You could search Instagram Renaissance Rachel. I have a TikTok now. So that's pretty much where I am everywhere is Renaissance Rachel. So it's Renaissance Rachel.
Links.
Yeah.
Okay. And so within that, then, so the other piece is just to summarize. Just get started, join a community, like-minded, and allow yourself to whatever comes forward, because only you can bring that forward, right?
Right.
All right. I love it. So again, Rachel Miles, again, Renaissance Rachel, we're going to have all the links. Join the community. It's time to put pen to paper. Today is the day.
Yes.
All right, everyone, I'll see you next week. Bye.